Okay, so everything is set. All right. So I'll start with the normal comments, and then we'll begin. Okay, so שלום לכולם, ברוכים הבאים שוב לשיעור עם אני לוסנג. טוב לראות אתכם, טוב לראות שאתם מתמודדים ובאים. אז כמה הודעות כרגיל. קודם כל, אנחנו נשמח לראות שאתם מדליקים את המצלמות שלכם, זה בהחלט משהו שנעים לראות והופך את השיעור ליותר אישי, אז אני שמח שאתם עושים את זה. בנוסף אני אזכיר שכל מה שאתם רואים כאן וכל השיעורים שאני לוסנג ובכלל של ידידי הדרמה, אפשר לראות אותם גם בלייב וגם רטרואקטיבית בערוץ היוטיוב של ידידי הדרמה. ובנוסף לכך, אם אתם מוצאות את השיעורים האלה הם מועילים וטובים, אז אתם מוזמנות ומוזמנים לתרום באמצעות דנה. אני עכשיו מעלה פה בצ'אט את הפרטים לתרומה דרך הפייפל ישירות למורה אנילה, ובאופן כללי גם קישורים לערוץ היוטיוב ולאתר של ידידי הדרמה, שם אפשר למצוא פרטים על הפעילות שלנו וכולי. אז זה כל מה שיש לי להגיד. Back to you, Ani Losang. Thank you very much for coming and teaching us week after week, and we appreciate it very much, and let us begin.
Yeah, well, I appreciate very much also. I appreciate very much that you still listen to me after such a long time, you know. So it's very kind of you, actually. So how about we start with some meditation, some reflection, because otherwise if I start talking, we're not getting there. This is always the big danger with me. So you settle down and, you know, try to have a straight back. As you all know, the main point in meditation is being relaxed, but please not being relaxed like too relaxed, because then the mind becomes sluggy. So if it's not a problem for you to have a straight back, that would be the best way. Even if you're sitting on a chair, like not to lie, not to kind of lean against the backrest, but really have the upper body totally free, because it helps your mind. It helps your mind to become more clear. It helps the mind to be more self-confident also. It opens the chest that, you know, with certain emotions, the body reacts and it closes. And it lets the energies in the energy channels flow freely. So if at all possible, sit with a straight back, full of self-confidence. And as always, the way you start the meditation, you connect with your body. And meditation is about knowing directly what is going on, not so much outside, more inside, what is going on in your mind. But for that, you need to come to the present first. So just feel the body wherever you feel where it makes contact, either with the floor, with the chair, or where the hands are touching each other. And you might have already developed your own practice, how to open the body, how to relax the body. So you use that. And we did some, you know, different ones at the beginning when we started this series. And me, for myself, I find the best one. The easiest one is that you visualize, you think you're breathing with your whole body. That you really accompany the breath in and out. And you think it's like, you know, like blowing up and then falling back, blowing up, falling back. And as you breathe out, you imagine that the body becomes very open, very soft, nothing tense or stiff about it. And like this, you can really help the mind to relax when you relax the body. And then, of course, the mind at the beginning is quite happy with knowing that the body is sitting. But then soon enough, it starts to get bored. And and then it goes into thoughts. And then we see that the thoughts actually are producing emotions. But first, again, we try to put the mind in a neutral way, and you cannot will or force that. Okay? The mind will go into a neutral state when you give the mind an object that it tries to rest upon or that it tries to hold. And again, for those of you who meditate regularly, you take that object. For others, I would suggest the breath again, like knowing that you're breathing in when you're breathing in, knowing that you're breathing out when you're breathing out. And as much as possible, not to suppress the thoughts, but also not to follow them. It's very difficult to do. So don't try to stop thinking. This is not going to work. But just don't make stories out of them. And sometimes it helps to be more focused on the breath, but focused also in a relaxed way, in an awake but relaxed way. And sometimes it helps to focus on the breath by appreciating that we can breathe freely. So we only appreciate something when we become aware that it could be different. So I have friends in the Bay Area on the west coast of the United States. So of course I called them to ask them how they are. And the fire is not the big danger for them. I mean, for my friends, for the ones who are near the fire, of course it's terrible. But for them, the air is full of smoke and small particles. So it's very, very difficult to breathe. So just for a short moment, imagine that you would be in that situation. They hadn't planned it. They're not refugees or poor people or bad people or whatever. They just happen to live there. But they have these huge forest fires since days, since weeks almost already. And the air quality is really bad. So then when you breathe in, you feel that the air that you're breathing is actually quite okay. It might be hot and humid because it's the end of the summer, but still there's no smoke, there's no dust particles that make you choke, that make you cough. And that might be helpful for you to be more, so that it's easier for you to stay on the breath. Breathing in, wow, quality of air. Breathing out, again, we can connect with the outer world. What I'm breathing out cannot be reused again by somebody else, but the plants will transform it into oxygen. So we become aware that we are taking something from Mother Nature that we need to survive. And what we're giving out, also Mother Nature has to transform it. Otherwise, we can't breathe anymore when there's no more oxygen. So these are just suggestions for you to try out what works for you. So of course, you have absolutely no difficulties to stay on the breath or not much, then no need to use all these thoughts. But gratitude and appreciation, they can be learned, they can be trained, it can become a habit. And it's such a beautiful and relaxed and open mind. So as you look at your breath, please, please bring in some kindness, some softness, being really interested. Also, sometimes in this period of training awareness or mindfulness or just, training to be present, it's quite helpful to think, wow, great, nothing to do. Don't need to figure out any problems. Don't need to prove something that I'm a good meditator. Don't need to achieve something. That can also be very relaxing. Just to be, whatever is. How wonderful. What a precious moment. No demands on myself to be perfect, to be happy, to be well, to be able to cope. I can just be and enjoy the breath. How wonderful. And then when our mind has somehow gone to a neutral state, then you look at you look and you ask yourself, how do I feel right now? We always ask other people how they feel. We never ask ourselves with the same interest, with the same intention. Ourselves, gosh, how am I? And you just check and you see what is there. Maybe resentment, maybe happiness, maybe anger, maybe love, maybe jealousy, maybe low self-confidence, maybe fear, maybe anxiety. Don't be afraid about these sensations when they're negative, when they're pleasant or positive, calm, open, peaceful. Just enjoy them. And just, be aware of them. Just notice them. Just live them. In case there's not something that you wouldn't like so much, you wouldn't choose if you would have a choice, don't chase them away. Allow them to be there so we can study them. We can see their nature as also being impermanent, not as solid as we think. So if there is negative feelings, they usually come with a story, with thoughts. So try to drop that story and just be with the feeling, with the sensation that you can feel in your body. Where does it sit? And if it's an unpleasant feeling, where does it hurt? Not in the head. Don't go, oh, people don't treat me right, all this kind of thing. No. As I said, please drop the story. And some people who are not very connected with the body, then also the nervous system is going crazy and it doesn't work properly anymore. And then the mind goes funny. So I think this question, where does it hurt? In the body. Not because of an injury or anything like that, but because of thoughts, because of events, because of who and what we are. It's so helpful to be in the body. So go look. Don't be afraid. If nothing hurts, perfect. Then you will feel some openness, peaceful, relaxed, happy. If you can feel some pain somewhere, sometimes it helps if you put your hand there. Again, in a very kind way. As if you would put your hand on a child that you want to calm down. Again, we're doing all this without any greater purpose. Oh, this should go away, I should feel better, all these kind of things. No, in a very natural way. We acknowledge there's some pain there. The same way as you would ask this child or this other person that you can feel there is some pain. What do you need right now? So you ask yourself. There is some pain, so it means that something is not quite right. So what do I need right now? Something realistic and also not something from outside. You know, we all think if the political, financial, or whatever situation would be better, we wouldn't have any pain. But that's not true. So ask yourself, what is most needed at the moment? Without changing the outside situation. Or what would I like to hear from a person that I trust and value? Or from a higher source, like the Buddha or a God? Or actually from your inner self? What would you like to hear? Nothing comes, doesn't matter. Just be attentive, as if you would be listening to somebody who really has compassion for you, who really values you, who really appreciates you. You can listen to your inner self or to this higher source, or imagine that this person that you value and trust very much is saying whatever you need to hear right now. Sometimes we feel a softening and an opening up. If you don't, then just open your eyes and look at the screen. And then check your feelings when you see that picture. And stay with them. No need to make any thoughts. Where is it? Or, oh, she shouldn't climb on the Buddha or whatever. Just look at the picture and, you know, what does it express? What does it mirror? It seems to be a lifeless statue. But it seems as if the little girl or boy, I don't know if it's a girl or a boy, as if the little child is bringing it to life. And they have a connection, these two. So connect to your feeling when you look at this picture and just stay with them for a while. If they fade away, because that's what they do, these feelings or sensations, look at the picture again. Did you see the picture? I hope you did. Nobody said we don't see anything. So did you see it, Tom? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did it have some effect on you? The picture? Either Leora has a cold or it had some effect on her. I'm not sure. Me also, I get a bit like this when I see this. Anybody else? Yeah, Tommy also? Yeah. It's amazing how this living little girl kind of brings this Buddha statue. It shows exactly what the Buddha is love, compassion, and wisdom, and good to connect with. So this is why I like the picture very, very much. Okay, anybody wants to say something? Because don't forget, this is not so much I'm going blah, blah, blah about things, but you also have a right to say what you want. Can you show it again? Yes, of course I can show it again. If you want, you can look at this until 8:30, also 9:30 your place. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to ask or say something.
Yeah, okay.
You told us last week our homework was to watch whenever we are angry and see how it manifests, how the anger makes us feel single-pointedly looking at the person in a certain way. And throughout this week, I tried to apply this whenever I got angry or upset. It mostly made me confused. I mean, because whenever I was trying to look at the anger, it kind of melted away. It was intangible. And I felt like I'm trying to impose this notion of how I'm supposed to feel when I'm angry, how I'm supposed to look. But I didn't find anything. It was a weird experience because in a way it made me feel like whenever I'm angry, I'm just looking at the anger and then it disappears. So what happened here? Where did it go away?
Okay. So in case I don't give a satisfactory answer, then just ask again. So then maybe I didn't understand properly. When you are angry and you're looking at the anger, like you withdraw the mind from the object, then the anger disappears because he has no more fuel. You see, in order to have anger, you need an object, a thought, or a person, or a situation, or whatever. And also, again, let's look at the word. What does it mean being angry? Yeah, anger is the wish to harm. Anger is when it is, for a situation, of course, it's difficult, but we make people responsible for situations. And if you are impatient or frustrated or things like that, this is not really what anger is all about. Anger is in general, of course, impatience and frustration and the energy is too strong. This also goes into the same direction, but anger is a wish to harm, or not being happy when you see that this other person is happy, then is anger. Or anger is also, you say something, you do something that you wouldn't do when you're in your right mind. You would never say things like this when you are kind of normal or peaceful, and you don't care what it does to the other person. Yeah, anger is very narrow, and also it makes the chest very narrow. But for example, we will come today to verse 41, where he says, for example, if you get hit by a stick, if you're rational or if you're logic, you should be angry at the stick and not at the person. And then he says, but also the person is controlled by the negative emotions. So then it would be more logical to get angry at the negative emotions. But he doesn't say, do get angry at the negative emotions. Yeah? It just says, if you want to be angry at something, then be angry at what is the cause, why this is happening to you, or why this person is doing that. But anger, the problem is with anger. So I think this whole patience chapter is for us to, I mean, maybe not the whole one, but a lot of it is for us to understand, as it says at the beginning, how harmful anger is and how it totally destroys our happy state of mind. Yeah. And also to understand, we don't need to be angry to change the situation. If we can change the situation, why be angry? Yeah, as he says, if you can't change it, then we use anger because it kind of covers up our pain of being useless, helpless, under the control of others, and these kind of things. Because anger then makes us feel kind of, for most of the people, not everybody, anger makes us feel stronger and, you know, have a right to be angry and all this. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, this is it. If you want to work with your anger so that you're not saying anything when you are angry, and first you learn to calm down. So then when you are calmed down, then you talk or you say whatever you need to say, or, you know, you act whenever you need to act. Taking the mind away from the object and going inside and looking at your anger, this is the best way. This is the best antidote, awareness. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that then it will never come back. You know, I mean, it comes back again and again and again and again. And this, and Shantidev also says, I think in the 5th chapter, he says in one of the verses, I am so afraid of these delusions. They have me so much in their grip and I'm so much under control of them. But actually they have no power. You know, they have no arms, they have no legs. They're not as dangerous as I think. Yeah, because this is exactly what it is. All I have to do is to recognize them so that they lose their power over me. And then again is the big question, do I want to be without anger? This is the question here. You know, what do I really want? Do I want to be a patient person? And again, the word patience, so many people mistake it for non-reactive. I just had this conversation again today. You know, they hear that Shantideva is telling us, don't act. I mean, he's telling us in the 5th or the 4th chapter, he's telling us that he's giving us all this list of negative mind states. For those who have been participating, then you would know what I'm talking about. Like he's giving us all these negative mind states. Negative, do you remember why these mind states are negative? Why they go into the category of negative emotions or negative mental factors? It's very important to understand.
Because they agitate the mind. They make the mind agitated and not calm.
Exactly. And they, you know, the projection that we already have of inherent existence becomes even stronger. And negative because they lead to suffering, because it's with those mind states, we do actions, we create negative karma, unskillful or unhelpful karma or karmic potentials that will again ripen in something that we don't want and that we don't like. This is the danger. You know, of course, it's dangerous for the present also when somebody is near us and we're very angry. I remember somebody at one point when I first went to visit her in her house, and somehow the energy was a little bit strange and a little bit tense. And maybe weeks after we started to know each other a bit better, because this first time I went to visit her, she said she just had hit her dog with a wooden stick because he had taken the chicken from the table. And she loved that dog very, very much, and that she felt really embarrassed that she had done this. You see, this is, you remember? So you see, this is what anger is doing to us. And it comes so quick, you know, and I'm not saying, oh, you know, this nasty dog, what I'm going to do to him now. This wish to harm comes it's inbuilt and it gives us too much energy. This is the problem. And as we will be talking about karma today, karmic imprints also ripen on the level of habit. Yeah, so you don't have to be angry at yourself for getting angry at every little thing, because it's like, it's a training, it's a habit. Yeah, and even science, who says, you know, sometimes we can't understand. Sometimes we have people that are very, very compassionate and have a very good heart, and in general they're very gentle and very nice and very kind. But they can have moments where they completely lose it, and they do things like that, like hitting their dog, which they love dearly. And so science explains, if you have read the book of, you know, Desmond Tutu and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, what's it, The Art of Happiness? No, what is it called? I can't remember what's it called. Anyway, so there you have a scientist who is saying that these circuits in the brain of compassion and anger, they're not the same. So it means that somebody who can be very compassionate and really nice, they can also be at one point, when the conditions come together and the imprint of getting angry from a previous moment of anger is still there, has not been purified, they can really go, they can become very, very angry. Yeah. So it's good to study our anger without being afraid of it, but to really be interested and see, okay, what does it say now? You know, this is, I think, what this chapter is all about, to see how unrealistic our anger is, and how, especially the verses we talked about last time, when we said, you know, we looked at sentient beings who, in general, everybody loves themselves too much, actually, but still, yeah, this is kind of a common way of being. We love ourselves. I mean, we're concerned about ourselves. We spend most of our time thinking about how to make ourselves happy, unconsciously almost. Yeah, we choose the things that I think will make me happy. Again, not consciously. You know, when you go to a buffet, you're not looking, okay, which are the things that nobody wants, so I'll take those so that they don't have to throw them away. Yeah, spontaneously we take the thing I like, and we don't care whether there's, well, you know, in Buddhist buffets, maybe, yes, we do care, and we see, oh, there's still 10 people behind me, it's getting less and less and less, so maybe I take a bit less of that and not as much as I wanted. But when we talk about, you know, when we're out in a restaurant, in a business, we're not thinking like that. Or if you do, it's fantastic, it's really wonderful. Yeah, because then, you know, if you think like this, every food that they give you will make you happy, and you'll never be disappointed, because there's always leftovers anyway. So when you have decided that you will eat the leftovers, because this is what we did in India when the food was kind of not that great, you know, then so we argued with our own mind by saying, okay, it's either this or nothing. So what is better? Well, this is better than nothing. So gratitude is again, you know, gratitude is totally underestimated, what a wonderful mind state it is. But then the thing is, we have high expectations, so then gratitude has very little chance. So if your expectations kind of are lower than your gratitude, then you will be a very happy person. But we have so many expectations, especially how other people should behave. And this is really something that we can let go, because then we can think like a Tisha when he got robbed by people on the road. He was walking alone, and he had, because he was a High Lama, so he was wearing some brocades, but he had absolutely nothing on him that was of value. So the thieves got so angry that they hit him. Yeah. And so, and then they let him go, because there was nothing to steal from him. So then he was looking back at them, and then they got again angry because they thought that he was making fun of them, that they couldn't rob anything. And so they came at him again and again, hit him in the face. And so he said, well, you know, the first one that I got hit, okay, it's my karma, but I didn't create the conditions now. But for the second time, it's my responsibility. But then he said, okay, they hit me, but at least they didn't injure me. And then if they injure me, then I can think, you know, at least they didn't cut off my my arm or something like that. If they cut off my arm, then you can think, well, at least they didn't kill me. And if they kill me, then you can think, at least they cannot throw me into a lower rebirth. Now, again, when people hear this, they get the feeling as if, somebody's there to hit you or injure you or cut your arm or get out to kill you, that you shouldn't react. Of course you should react. If you can protect yourself, this is your duty to protect yourself, because the other person is not creating positive karma by harming you. But these are the things that you start thinking when it has already happened. Instead of sitting there and getting angry and angry and angrier, and then the anger, usually it's another person who gets it, then you start thinking like that. Yeah. And patience does not mean you don't react. Patience means you have learned to kind of not to suppress your anger, but also not to live it out, to study it, to know what to do so that you recognize it, and then it will fall apart as you noticed. So Tom, then when your anger was gone, then what happened afterwards? What did you do?
I guess I just carried on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what I was saying, the way you described anger, the way you defined anger, that doesn't apply to maybe most of the experiences I had throughout this week, because that they were more like of frustration or discomfort or things like that.
Yeah.
But there were a few times when I, for example, sometimes loud noises make me jump, and when my dog sometimes she barks right next to my ear and it frightens me, so I like shout at her, shut up or something, because in that moment it made me really scared, and I automatically shout at yells at her to stop.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I realized the power. I realized how the anger just took over me. I would never shout at her in this way
Exactly.
in another situation. And then I would look at, but then when I trying to look at my anger and like see what is it there, then it just goes away, and I'm just left confused. And why did I just yell at my poor dog?
Yeah, it's a better mind to think my poor dog and then give him a big kiss and say, look, I'm really sorry that I shouted at you. And this is how we cut the habit. This is how we cut the habit, by seeing it that, once the anger is gone, we feel sorry about the whole thing. So, yeah, so it's good. It's good to see all these things. Yeah. Okay, anybody else would like to say what happened the last week when I asked you to, to think that if people who love themselves do stupid things like, not eating when they're upset or angry or when they're sad, or, even killing themselves and jumping off cliffs, if they do stupid things to themselves, then of course they also do harmful things to others. So that we're a little bit more understanding, and understanding in a way to see that it doesn't come out of wanting to harm others, but it really comes out of confusion. Of not, everybody wants to be happy, nobody wants to suffer. And these actions come out of being totally confused and being pushed by negative states of mind. So then we become a little bit, maybe a more understanding. And the more understanding we are, the less angry we get. You can, when somebody behaves in a really bad way, and you can become very understanding when you hear they had a terrible childhood, or, they just found out they lost their job. And these things can change people totally. Yeah, we have somebody who comes here, he seemed to be like he has mastered absolutely everything. It's like, when we talk about anger, he never gets angry, this and that. The other day he comes and he was agitated, he was sad, he was angry because he was given leave of his work after 25 years of working at the same job, and he's an engineer, right? Working really, really, he's given like a lot for this firm, and they just told him, look, we don't have enough work anymore. That's it. So he never thought it would happen to him. This is another thing, you see. It always happens to others. And then when it happens to us, then it becomes really big. Yeah, and then we kind of lose it. 1 week later, he was okay again. Then, once we have calmed down, because what anger also does, we cannot see the positive sides. Yeah. So it was just this thing, this is not just, this is unfair. I've given so much for this firm, blah, 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 the whole thing. And then you suffer even more. You lost the job, plus you suffer. Then once you start being calm, then you see the advantage of the whole thing. Now he is, he can plan because he doesn't have any financial problems on top of it. I mean, this is, for somebody who has financial problems, of course they would say, what is he complaining about? They should have my problems. It's for us to see that these kind of things, when you have financial problems, you imagine that somebody who doesn't have financial problems but loses his job should not feel bad, that this is total illusion also. It's not true. Yeah, problems are everywhere. And then again, we see the truth of the Buddha's teachings. Dukkha, wherever we go, it scratches. Wherever we go, it's not smooth. It's not the way we want it. And we cannot fix samsara. We have to fix our mind. Leora, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to share an experience that happened to me today, this afternoon, because I just didn't know how to, first of all, I know that I had to accept it, but then next time when it happens, I don't know. I had to work, I wanted to help somebody to do something that we do in common in Yud Fat now for Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
And this young woman has mental problems. I know that when I have to do something with her, I lose my patience.
Yeah.
She talks a lot because she's very slow, because she's not, she doesn't know what to do. And I was in a hurry. I had many things to do, but I wanted to help her. So I know her and I know she suffers. I know she does a great job with herself, trying to deal with her problems, but I lost my patience. I said nothing except of let's do it quickly. But inside, I was very, very agitated. And later I came home to do my church practice, and I had almost no connection with what I read. I was so much involved with this, some disappointment and some what could I do with this impatience? It is anger. I didn't want to hurt her. No means I didn't want to hurt her. But
it's not kindness. Let's say like this. It's not.
It wasn't kind at all.
It's totally focused on us, what I want. It's not what she is capable of giving me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but these are, also Tom, it's these little frustrations that we start working with actually, and then also what Leora says, then not to feel bad about this, to at least to be happy that we saw, okay, I thought I was patient. No, I'm not. So then again, we generate some, then it's what we did at the beginning. Okay, when we feel so bad before you do your practice, you sit down and say, okay, what do I need to hear now from a person that I trust? What would you tell a child? Because we're childish, we like children. What would you tell a child who comes home and is devastated because he made a mistake or it did something? What would you tell a child? The first thing.
I've used it when you said so now.
Yeah.
This event in the afternoon. Yeah, I did use it and it did help.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's okay. I am trying. For the moment, it's good enough. I am not a Buddha. Because otherwise we go into guilt and then we beat ourselves up and then we doubt the practice and we doubt ourselves. And we totally forget that other times it works. At other times, and especially, the moment you said, I didn't have much time, please don't be surprised when you get frustrated and angry when you don't have time. It's so natural almost. When we're in a hurry, that we have no patience because we have no time. We think we have no time. Yeah. So this goes a little bit together, impatience and not having time. But very often we imagine that we don't have time. It's kind of, we have decided, I'm in a hurry, I don't have time, and then we don't have time. But you see, if an emergency happens, like somebody has a big accident, you would drop everything. You had plenty of time to go to hospital with them. Yeah, so it's this whole thing about the concepts that make things very solid and very stiff. Okay?
Thank you.
So the main point and the main thing is that you see it and you don't start to feel this is me. Yeah, not to lose your trust in your Buddha potential, your Buddha nature, in your goodness, in your kindness. If you can't do anything with the word Buddha nature or Buddha potential, use kindness. You know, just this whole thing, what I just noticed, sometimes when I see people sitting here, there's absolutely no kindness involved when they meditate. They're kind of like this, you know. And the moment I say, please bring some kindness to your meditation, they relax. You know, it's compassion and wisdom. It's not just wisdom that we're trying to develop here. And the compassion we have to be able to feel for ourselves also, which is not indulgent. You know, it's not self-pity. Because compassion for ourselves can also say, hey, come on, you can do better than this. When it's the right moment to say this. Compassion has a lot of wisdom who can say like, okay, relax, it's okay. Or, hey, come on, pull yourselves together. Yeah. And this is, again, you know, the key to the whole thing, awareness, to know what's going on, not to identify with it, to look at it, to be able to accept it, and then to study it. Okay? But I think, you know, just these few verses that we did last time, where we went through what people do to themselves out of confusion, that we can be much more forgiving to people that behave in a really strange way. So instead of, as His Holiness always says, you know, he's never saying that his Chinese brothers and sisters are bad. He always says, wow, you know, they behave in a really strange way. Because when you say like this, you're not getting angry. But you recognize that something is wrong because something is strange. But the moment you say, oh, they're behaving in a really bad way, then again, the mind gets flavored with this word bad. They should do different. Okay? Is that okay? Or does anybody wants to say something more? Because otherwise we continue with the text. Okay, everybody? Yeah, Yael?
Yeah, I wanted to say, to share, because it's connected to what Liora said. I'm in California this year, so where the fires are. Today is much better weather. Today is great, at least in our region, not everywhere. Yeah. So I wanted to say that I noticed that at least after I make this move, and I'm in a culture where there is more politeness and patience, and it really affects my anger. I'm much more patient myself.
Okay, yeah.
So I can see how much a stressful life affect me. And I don't know if it's only depend on me, how much I will be able to change it next year when I will be in Israel again. And how much, I don't know, I'm looking about it, but I thought about the hairiness that we have things to do. Well, it's also our pressure and the things we do, but also when I go to the supermarket or I go outside and everyone patient and polite, it makes me calm much more. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the mass reaction. You know, one person pushes in the supermarket, everybody else pushes. This is it. But you'll be surprised, because me as a foreigner coming to Israel usually, how much you can, because the energy is so strong, how very often you can calm this agitated energy when people queue up by you not being agitated, how quickly you can calm it down. I mean, I've seen it so often already in Israel. If you are not reacting the way that they expect you to react, you know, they're so surprised. This is a little bit when Tom says, you know, when the object of anger is gone, boom, the whole thing kind of collapses. Yeah, I told you this situation once at the train station where, like, you know, in the morning, and there was a religious lady with 4 kids who were kind of running left and right, and she had a problem with the ticket, and it took a long time, and only one counter open, and about 4 women behind me, and they started screaming, you know, only one counter open, and this and that. So I looked back and I said to the woman behind me, look, well, she seems to have a problem, you know, kind of calmly explaining, she seems to have a problem. So this is why it lasts so long. It's not that the lady behind the counter is lazy or doesn't know what to do, but there seems to be a problem because she had all these papers in her hand. And I said, but I'm not in a hurry. If you want, you can go before me. And she kind of went like this. And then the woman behind her said, I'm also not in a hurry. So you can go before me. And the whole screaming just totally calmed down. And as I was walking to the track, then this woman who was behind me, she said, oh, you know, you can take, because she heard where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to Haifa or to, I don't know, Carmiel or somewhere. And she said, there is an earlier train. And I said, no, I don't need to take this earlier train. I told you, I'm not in a hurry, because I always come to the station early enough. This is another thing, because I know it can last long sometimes. So then, and I've seen it happen at many places, and people who usually also come to the weekends, then they go home and they try it out. And there was a lot of reports that it works. If you are not participating in the same game, if you're not, you know, because we kind of emit waves or smell or I don't know, energy or something. If you are not going into that anxiety and fear thing, then also it really helps. But don't have too many expectations, Yael, because one takes habits very, very quickly again. But at least you can see that it can also work otherwise. So as long as you don't have the expectation that I can only be kind and calm when somebody is bothering you, I can see. Is it your son? Let him come and say hello.
בואי, רוצה שתגיד לה שלום. בוא.
Come and say hi.
He's angry now.
He's angry. Oh, there you go. Oh la la. You can tell him, look, it doesn't help to be angry. You will not get what you want with anger. Ask him to ask in a better way, in a more intelligent way, you know. Does he understand?
We are working on this all the time.
Yeah.
But now I have a lot, much more patience for him. So maybe this year it will be better.
You see, that is so frustrating for the children when mom has patience, because then anger doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
This is why we're using anger. This is why children use anger in order to get something, because mother or dad lose patience, and then they throw it at them, say, okay, here you have it. And for them, the most important thing is that they get it. How they get it, they don't care so much. So they have understood this, that if I make the other person, that's another good argument that you can use. Because when somebody is able to make you angry, they have control over you, and you lost control. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is why, you know, this is why kids, and the moment they notice that anger is not working, then they start to think. Then they start to think. And then I usually honor them when they come up with a really good idea why I should give them that now. So, but they have to think, they have to use their brain. So tell your son to use his brain to get what he wants. Nice. Okay, good. And we're all like children, you know, when we don't get what we want, then we get angry. So also very good and very important to sit down from time to time and to really be clear. Well, what do I want? Do I want perfect outside conditions that don't make me happy in a lasting way? I'm just thinking that they will make me happy, you know, because as the Buddha says, you know, interest in perfect outside things, they lose their taste. They lose their attractiveness. They are not making me happy anymore after a while. And we can see that this is definitely happening. So then when we go, but no, I think what would be more important is if I learn to be more open heart, more forgiving, more understanding, more being able to put less pressure on myself that I should be perfect, and to just go through life in a bit more relaxed way, you know. I mean, Israelis are so under pressure. I mean, it's incredible, you know. It needs very little for them to explode, but they also calm down very quickly. So you see this whole, you talked about California. I don't know if you saw me smile. I tell you, they got so much on my nerves when I was there, because you never know what you're at. They can think the most horrible thoughts about you, and they can be very kind and very polite. And then you don't know, well, what is this? Or, you know, this whole thing, oh, hello, how are you today? And then you kind of start to prepare to tell them how you are, and they're already gone. They don't, you know, they're not interested in you. It's just words. It's a way of saying hello. Yeah, she needs to go. I remember when I went to buy shoes also, and this person, she asked me, he really kind of, oh, hi, how are you today? And I thought, why is she interested in me? How nice. And I started to give her an answer. And I saw she was not interested at all. She wanted to sell me a pair of shoes. So again, you know, it's good to find a middle way there, also not to be too polite and to say, this is what I appreciate in Israelis. You know what you're at. Yeah. So this is very good. Okay, so let's go to verse 39 and 40, because they go together. Yeah, Tom, thank you. If you can do the screen share, 39 and 40. Even if it were the nature of the childish to cause harm to other beings, it would still be incorrect to be angry with them, for this would be like begrudging fire for having the nature to burn. Shall we look at it first, maybe? Yeah, it talks about, you know, Shantideva until about verse maybe 51, I think, or 59, he's telling us, he's giving us lots of different ways to look at situations so that we're not getting angry. And I'll repeat it again. Not getting angry does not mean you don't react. Okay? So, because it says, if people by nature, and the childish, he means like ordinary beings, childish people who don't know how to make themselves happy. Even they want to be happy, but then they do all kinds of things not to be happy, as it says in the verses before, you know, when people jump off cliffs or stop sleeping, stop eating, hurt themselves, things like that. So these are the childish. So if it would be in their nature to cause harm to other beings, if it would be natural, in their nature means it cannot be another way, to harm to other beings, it would still be incorrect to be angry with them. Because why? Because for them it's natural. Then it's like getting angry at the rain when it falls and you become wet. You know, if you go outside and it rains, you become wet. That's the nature of it. Water by nature is wet. So we wouldn't get angry at this. We might be, you know, it might feel uncomfortable, but we wouldn't get angry. So the same way as we're not getting angry at the fire, because we know its nature is to burn. Like, we're not surprised, yeah? When you are putting your hand in the fire and you get, or near the fire, and you get burned, again, it's not pleasant, but you're not getting angry at the fire because you know its nature is hot. Is that clear? So if it's in the nature of people to harm others, then why get angry? That's the way they are. Yeah, but you know, we are surprised and we get angry because we think that childish people do not harm others. Yeah, and we had yesterday, because we're looking at the same text and we're almost in the same place here in Bern, and somebody said, you know, the daughter, I'm so sorry, I have to leave in the middle. So it's okay, yeah, don't worry. So it is, she said, the daughter of my husband, so it's probably not her daughter. And she said, the daughter of my husband, who is like, you know, very demanding, very selfish, always only seeing the negative sides, always thinking that nobody's kind to her, nobody helps her, this and that, but everybody's trying to help her. And then when you ask her one thing, you know, to do, then she says, yes, 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 I do, and she never does. And she said, I used to get so upset about this person until the moment I realized that's the way she is. And you see, also, this is for Tom, you see, every time we work with these things, the habit becomes slower, how to say, not slower, smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then all of a sudden, we are really able to let go. You know, if you try and try and try and you judge yourself and you're frustrated about yourself, it's okay, because then we think the work, what we're doing, is not worthwhile because it's not working. But you will see, as you continue, you know, at one point, it's almost as if something kind of breaks, something that has been covering it, you know, like, I don't know, the gold is inside, some kind of hidden inside something, and then we kind of go, and then all of a sudden, something is, and then it's gone. Then the anger towards and the frustration towards that person is gone. But it needs a lot of chipping. It needs a lot of doing it. And then all of a sudden, then it holds. Or like if you have a branch, you know, that is going that way and you want to make it go that way, of course, if you hold it, it will. But the moment you let go, it goes back like this. But the more you do like this, all of a sudden it will stay. Or as Venerable Rene says in a very kind way, he talks about this, about training mindfulness, but it's also very helpful for our habits. He says, if you bring the mind back again and again and again and again to the breath or to your object, at the beginning it is like you pour water on a surface, it goes everywhere. But if you pour the water always on the same spot, of course, not on a hard surface, but on the earth. Yeah, if you pour the water always on the same spot, it starts to make a channel, like a small channel. And then as you keep pouring in the same spot, the channel becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the water is not going out anymore. Yeah, and this is how mind transformation and mind training works. So when you think that somebody is bad, and I won't mention anybody anymore here because I got myself into deep trouble last time I mentioned the prime minister or something like that. So if you think somebody is bad by nature, then well, that's it. They cannot change. So don't expect them to do good things. Yeah, then you can say, okay, but they shouldn't have this job. Yeah, of course. Then, you know, do whatever you can to get them out from there. But don't kill them. You know, this is, again, it's this whole thing. If you are with anger killing somebody, then you get a lot of negative karma. It might better the situation at the moment, but for you, not necessarily. Okay. Next one. So here is like, why getting angry at things when it is their nature to be like that? It's no point. Yeah. So it's really he's using a lot of good reasoning. Then the next one is, and even if the fault were temporary, in that they are by nature reliable, it would still be incorrect to be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to arise in it. And this is also sometimes we get very frustrated when somebody who never makes mistakes and somebody who usually behaves in a really nice way, and then they do make a mistake, then we get double angry. And we go like, but they never do like this. Have you ever noticed that? That we react like this sometimes? So then again, he says, it's no point of getting angry, because if they're only sometimes like this, why getting angry? And you see, I think we, okay, so you can close the text again so that we can look at each other. I prefer to see you also. It's nicer. It's easier for me. There's also Gidi and Michal who have joined. Hello. So, and Yael has come back. Oh, your son has calmed down. So, because with, you know, anger is manifesting as if it is a friend of ours. Like, as if it can move things. This is how it manifests. It wants to have control. It wants to change things. It wants to move things. But it's not really true. We cannot change other people with anger. We just also make them aggressive or afraid of us. You can only transform yourself and other people with understanding, with skills, with kindness and with love. When somebody feels that you are concerned about them, and not about them, especially with children also. I see this when I kind of have to do with children, that they tend to listen to me more than they would listen to their parents, because also they know I'm only there for a few days, or then it's not so dangerous. They don't have to do it for the rest of their lives. But I think they feel it, that when I tell them something, that I do this because of their happiness, not because they're my children and I'm kind of upset that my children are so unruly, because this I don't care, they're not my children. And I think they can feel this. They can feel it when you try to correct them with an attitude for their happiness, not with an attitude of, oh, but my children are not doing this. Yeah. So
יש בעיה, אצל כולם אני נתקעה?
ריטה נעלמה והתמונה נתקעה.
יש לנו בעיה טכנית.
But while you are angry, you cannot see this, because anger manifests itself as very wise, because it's also very sharp. This is true. Yeah. Kind of because with anger and with attachment, the advantage of these two mental states, it makes the mind quite concentrated, because you are fully, totally on the object. Gidi, what did you want to say? No?
Just that it's true.
Okay.
It's like a shortcut. If you want to be focused on something, then just be very angry at it.
Yeah, or very attached, like full of desire also. Yeah. So that is the advantage of these two things. But then the disadvantage is what, Gidi?
If you're very focused on something you don't like, then it's unpleasant. If you're very focused on something you're attached to, maybe pain of losing it, or when something changes.
Yeah, no, the big advantage, you don't see the right object anymore. That object that you're seeing does not exist, because you over-exaggerate good or negative sides, and you cannot see the other side. You kind of project even more inherent existence and real good or real bad when these two mind states are present. So it makes you glued to the object, but it takes away the clarity and the wisdom. This is the problem. Yeah. So I think what Shantideva is trying to do here, he's giving us a lot, or giving himself, because he's really talking to himself, he's giving himself a lot of arguments how to deal with anger. And then you don't need to practice all of them. Just try them out and see which one works the best for you. Because worse, is that clear? Or do you have like objections or something to say or whatever? There's a few chats here, I see. Okay, somebody's saying, Sigal is saying, since I'm suffering from back problems, I can't sit, so I'm lying down. Yeah, that's fine. This is why I always say, if you cannot sit with a straight back because of body problems, then don't. Okay. Okay, good. So then next one is 41. And even if the thought, then if I become angry with the yielder, this is one of the very, very famous verses also, because the Tibetans use it all the time. If I become angry with the yielder, although I'm actually harmed by his stick, then since he too is secondary, being in turn incited by hatred, I should really be angry with his hatred. So, so then the other day, so we were looking at this, at this verse, and then somebody said, yeah, so I got really angry at his anger, and then I got even angrier. So then, you know, it doesn't say you should get angry at his anger. What it says, it would be more reasonable to get angry at his anger than to get angry at the person. The person is just the middle piece between the stick and the anger. The anger is the one who makes him take the stick and then to hit. Yeah. And I think this we can really, really see that the same as we ourselves, we are under the control of our negative emotions. That all of us, if we could throw them away, I think we would, I mean, I would, I don't know about you guys, but we would definitely throw them away. Yeah, wouldn't you? I mean, if you wouldn't, then maybe this is not the right text for you to study, because, you know, we have somebody who has been in prison for 26 years who comes here. And he is a little bit he's a bit strange, I have to say, but I'm always kind of surprised that, because he's quite violent also in a way. I'm always surprised that he's still kind of bearing with us, and, you know, but then the other day he wrote in the Facebook on our Longku page, he wrote, well, it's an interesting text, but sometimes this Shantideva really gets on my nerves, because he is presenting me on a silver platter whatever I'm still doing in the wrong way. So he said, and then I get really angry at him. So kind of, you know, I'm not getting any praise from this Shantideva. I'm only getting criticism. So we discussed it yesterday when we were here. Yeah, I mean, we're all the same. It's like, it's only if you want to transform by seeing that anger is really harmful, it harms us, it harms others, it creates negative karma for the future, that then this text is good, because it's very strong medicine. Yeah, it's very strong medicine to cure our only sickness that we have, which is our negative emotions. But you need to recognize them as your enemy number one, you know. Like we have two enemies. Do you remember them? The main thing why this is all happening, our two enemies.
Ignorance.
Huh?
Ignorance.
Ignorance, yeah. So when you kind of divide ignorance maybe into two, the ignorance of what?
Maybe thinking things are there from their own side, and I am also existing from my own side and separate and independent.
Yeah, that has to do with it. Okay, so usually they say our two enemies that we have is first, you know, believing in this self-existent I. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's one, and then holding it as the most dearest thing in the whole world, cherishing it. Yeah. So by practicing compassion and wisdom, which is here is more the method side, the compassion. That's Wednesday. Oh, you're so lucky, you guys. Sunday evenings, you have wisdom side with Geshe-ma. So you have both in 1 week. Wow, you know. So so by practicing wisdom, you kind of chip away a little bit the belief in that self-existent I. Yeah. And by practicing generosity, ethical conduct, patience, then you chip away at the self-cherishing that you're the most important thing. You know, we're not getting rid of it. We will get rid of it when we have a direct perception of emptiness. But at least we can weaken these two enemies a little bit by practicing, by training to sometimes, not all the time, but from time to time, you know, even though it seems totally normal to become angry, to work with the anger, or even it seems totally normal not to give my time to this person or to give something to this person. We kind of practice generosity, even though we don't feel like it, even though we don't want it. And then we check the immediate result, or we think about the karmic result. A little bit like this. So we start to weaken them. Yes, Gidi.
Many patients that I see,
yeah,
they don't have the second enemy. because they don't think they don't cherish themselves.
Yeah.
This is their problem. I mean, they hate themselves, they hate their lives, they don't think sometimes they want to kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But you see, this is also a form of cherishing yourself by thinking you are the worst of all. You don't deserve to be happy. They're also very important to themselves, but just in the wrong in the other direction. Their self-concern, how to say, their self-concentrated one is very, very big. This is why they think life is terrible, and they only see themselves. They only see their own negativities and difficulties and this and that.
This is true.
So in Buddhist terms, it would also be called self-cherishing. Self-cherishing is kind of, yeah. And then, as it says in the verses before, they're so confused that they kill themselves. Yeah.
So being focused on yourself, even if you're being focused on yourself, even if being focused on the negative side, is also cherishing.
Yeah, it's definitely a grasping at an inherently existing self. Very strong. Very, very strong. So then, I'm sure you know that. Then it's good to try to kind of, but it's so difficult because it's such a habit, isn't it? Especially when there's sicknesses like borderline and things like that. It's like, and then sometimes when they go into Buddhism, then they think they have realized emptiness. Yeah. They're so deluded. Say, I don't feel myself. I don't have a self. This and that. And it's like, but very unstable. Yeah. But borderline sickness is very interesting to see what the mind can do. It's like, even though nothing changes outside, one day you have the idea you can save the whole world. You have absolutely no fear. You love everybody. You're totally open. It seems that you're a Buddha already. And then you plunge into the totally opposite, isn't it? Yeah. And situation outside is the same. So there we can see with people who have these kind of sicknesses, we can really see how powerful the mind is to create a reality, especially if you're a psychologist or even a psychiatrist, when you become the enemy of that person, even though you want to help them. So we're all sick, by the way, we're all crazy. Yeah, we just think that we're not because some other people are more crazy than we are, but we also don't see reality as it is. So, don't feel so normal, because when we talk about normal, it's also nice to see what is really normal. Normal in a way, natural. When the mind is in its natural state, the mind is calm and peaceful and happy and okay. And you have zero wish to harm somebody. And if you can help in a very natural way, you help happily without thinking what is in there for me. Yeah, that would be normal. That would be natural. When, like a mother or a father, when they can do something for their children, without thinking about, will it benefit me? What will be in there for me? Oh my gosh, I have to do this my whole life. They're not thinking like this. It's an instinct. It's an instinct that comes out of love. So we already have this instinct if you have children. So all we need to do in Buddhism, we need to widen it so that it goes on all sentient beings. So, and if you don't have this instinct of you wanting to be happy, then it's very difficult to practice Buddhism, by the way. Because if you don't even have this, as you say, Gidi, these patients, they hurt and harm themselves, then it's very difficult wanting happiness for others too. Yeah. So
yes, sometimes I think Lacan, the French analyst, he was trying to be Freudian. So he talks about the enjoyment of suffering. People get addicted to feeling bad in a way.
Yeah.
And then it's very difficult because everybody wants to be happy, but then some people are really suffering without there being a cause, every cause outside in their life. So then it's something inside that wants to suffer.
Yeah.
So it wants to suffer. So how can you change it? Because they want to suffer.
Well, by reasoning, by if they have interest for, for Buddhism, you don't have to call it Buddhism, but to really see, hey, guys, there is causes for happiness, to show them causes for happiness. You are not here at the beginning, again, to go inside the body again and again and again and again. Yeah, it's fine. It's not a criticism. To go again and again and again, to say, where does it hurt? To really be present in the body, to really go inside the body. Yeah. And then to see, what would I need right now? What do I need to hear from somebody else? So they learn to take care, if they have pleasant feelings, sensations, to concentrate on them. That this can also be. It doesn't have to come from suffering. But yeah, I mean, if you look at masochists, they pay money for somebody to beat them up in order to have some sexual arousal or stuff like this. I mean, it's crazy. Why do they do this? Because they want to be happy. Yeah. Like the reason behind doing things is always the same, but the ways and means how to attain happiness, that one is very often mistaken. So this is why the 6th chapter of Shantideva, if one is open for this, is very helpful, because he really shows us the whole of Buddhism, what are the causes for happiness and what is the causes for suffering. And I thought we would come to this verse today, but we're not, because then the next one, 42, then we'll have, but we do it next time, next week, it's about karma. So then we'll talk a little bit about what is actually karma, because one tends to forget for those people who don't study so much. Okay, but the verse 41 was like, although indeed it is the stick that hurts me, I have a little bit different translation, which is fine. I'm angry at the one who wields it, striking me, but he is driven and impelled by anger, so it is his wrath I should resent. So when negative emotions arise, avoid retaliating and analyze the situation quietly. So we even though we don't react, but the wish to react, the wish to harm this other person, it comes whether we want or not. Yeah. And if you're not trained in awareness, you don't even see it. This is what the danger is. And it feels so natural and it feels so normal. So he's talking to himself as a practitioner, kind of retain yourself for retaliating. So if you're hit by the stick, you're not angry at the stick, even though it touched your body, and you are instead angry at the person who controls the stick. Likewise, there is no reason to get angry towards the person, because the person is controlled by anger. So it is anger which should be faulted, not that you get, and this is your homework also for next week. When you are getting angry at somebody, see how the mind instantly gets angry at the person, as if the person is choosing to be the way they are. And we don't see they have been trained to be the way they are. It's karma from past lives. It's conditioning from this life. So again, I'm not talking about big people here now, okay? I'm talking the ones around you. It might be easier to look at that. So then try to kind of, again, it's not easy, Tom. Yeah, these things to do are very, very difficult. Sounds very easy when I give you the homework, but to say, instead of saying, wow, he is so bad, instead of going, wow, there's a lot of anger in that person. There's a lot of confusion in the person. There's a lot of jealousy in the person. And try to see if that makes a difference. It doesn't have to make a difference, because we're only intellectually, at least now, start to separate the person from the emotion that is pushing the person. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's really, really helpful if you want to work with your anger, when you go, oh, instead of, oh, that's such an angry person, when you go, oh, there is a lot of anger in the person. It seems as if it's the same, but it's not, because then you're targeting the anger and not the person. You see, and I'll give you just this example again, how we make these 3 mistakes when we talk about somebody that we dislike, that we say, he is. We don't say, I see him. This is another thing you can do. Oh, I see a bad person, Maybe that person is not as bad as I see them, but it's like we go objectively from his own side. He is bad. Then we go, always, he is always so nasty. Always means totally permanent, has always been, is now, and will always be. And instinctively, we do feel like this. This person can never change. If they would change, we would go, oh, they're putting on an act. They're faking, yeah, something. So he is always so nasty to me. So nasty meaning only seeing one aspect. We're not seeing that they may be kind to their dog or to their children or to their friends, whoever they are, yeah? So we make these three mistakes. Objectively existing, he is permanent, always, and one unity, one thing, badness. Yes, we will wish everybody a happy new year. Okay, see ya. Yeah, so like this. So it's good also to listen how we think or how we talk. And then we start to change it. Okay, I see him as, at the moment, kind of, he's showing me, or he has a lot of anger at the moment. He seems to have, I see him having a lot of anger in his mind at the moment, something like that. And then see what happens. It doesn't have to be so complex, okay? That was very complex. Okay, so do you have questions, or so, because we will stop at this. I'm almost on time because it's like here, it's like 9:30 sharp. And then the next week, I don't know, it's better year for everyone. Well, at least a year that is not so bad. It's okay, Again, it's not from its own side, good or bad. It's what you make of it. So again, we will have to see what this brings in long term, karmic wise. So I don't know if you have time next Wednesday, because it's like, the middle of holidays and this and that. So, but if you have, then I'll be very happy to see you. If not, then anyway, yes, Shana Tova. I don't know if you see it, maybe not. If you put the speakers thing, I put a pomegranate on the Buddha's begging bowl for New Year, for the Jewish New Year. Because I know that you are using that fruit, which has many, many grains. Can you see it? Wait, I'll show you. Because I always put some fruits in his begging bowl. So I thought, because it's New Year, I'll put a pomegranate. See, this is the Buddha. So he has this in his begging bowl. Okay, so this is how I kind of do my Jewish New Year here, even though I'm not Jewish. And I think I will also fast on Yom Kippur again, because I really like that. So this fast on Yom Kippur. So good. So if you don't have any questions and you're clear about the homework, then we will dedicate all the positive energy that we have created together. That even that we are starting to understand that even outside conditions are very, very difficult. If we keep being connected to our own inner goodness that we all have, if we start to look for it, if we start to trust it, if we don't judge ourselves, hurt ourselves, kind of be angry at ourselves, be constantly frustrated that we're not perfect, and that we learn to be kind of have that the gratitude exceeds the expectations, then I think even if outside conditions are very difficult, it will be okay, because everything can be used for practice. Practice to understand dukkha, that in samsara, everything is flawed. Everything is not the way we want it to be, but that it has causes. And because it has causes, suffering can be eliminated. To really trust that, and to look for it, so we direct all the positive energy in that direction. That everybody starts to understand these methods, no matter what you call them. You can call them psychology, because that's what it is. Or you can call it Buddhism. That's also what it is. So may we all be able to understand that our nature is goodness, kindness, compassion, wisdom. May be able to find it, no matter how difficult the world outside is, kind of situation outside is, so that we can progress on this path and finally reach full enlightenment. So we can think to this evening, tomorrow, next week, next year. May everybody who sees me, who thinks about me, who talks about me, who hears me, may all of it may I be of benefit to them. Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm thinking, may it become of greatest benefit to all sentient beings. So when that intention is there, you don't have to worry so much about the action, because then the motivation is positive. So whenever you start an action, may it be of benefit to the person who is right in front of me, and finally, may it benefit all sentient beings. And then, of course, we dedicate for the long and healthy life of our teacher, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, your own masters of, they're very busy. They're giving so many teachings at the moment. We have access to so many teachings. It's so wonderful. So may they have long, healthy, and stable lives. And may we be worthy disciples and students. Thank you very much. And Shana Tova.
Shana
Everybody.
שנה טובה, מקצר.
שנה טובה.
שנה טובה.
So see you next year.
תודה רבה.